Hey guys, thank you for tuning into Moon Outdoors. Today I'm going to talk about the swell, wind wave, and the wind. So over the years, a lot of people have asked me how I check for the swell and wind conditions and how to read them. So keep in mind that I'm not the expert on this subject. It's just the information that I've gathered over the years from more experienced kayakers and also from my personal experience. So just use it as a guide. I don't think this is really a black and white subject anyways. So there's a swell and there's a wind wave. So what's the difference? So both swell and the wind wave is basically a ripple caused by the wind. The wind wave is the ripple caused by the wind at your location. And the swell is the ripple caused by the wind from far distance. So let's get into it a little bit. So the swell is the ripple caused by the wind from far distance, miles away. So offshore, miles away, there's a big storm, very heavy wind, and that blew for a long period of time. And there's so much energy because the wind was so strong and the wind blew for so long. There's so much energy. Basically, it travels all the way to the coastline where we are as a kayak fisherman. But wind wave is the ripple that is created by the local wind where you are at. Some characteristic difference is the wind waves are more pointy. Sometimes they roll when they get big enough. We call it a white cap. But a swell is more of a gradual up and down and up and down. Very gradual. Sometimes it could be 5 or 6 seconds apart. Sometimes it could be more than 20 seconds apart. And the wind waves typically very close to each other. Maybe a second apart, couple seconds apart, etc. So when you are checking for the swell, of course, you are looking for the height of the swell, how big it is. It could be 4 feet, it could be 6, 8. I've seen it as more than 10 feet. And the other thing you gotta look for is the period of the swell, which is just as important, if not more important than the height of the swell. So before we get into how the period affects the swell, let's take a look at 3 websites that I like to use to check the forecast. There are many out there. I commonly use these 3 websites. Not that they are more accurate. I'm just used to using it, and I like some of the features they offer. Some of the websites will measure the wind speed as a miles per hour, and some of the websites will measure the wind speed as a knot. So knot is basically a nautical miles per hour. So 1 knot equals to 1.15 miles per hour. So they are slightly faster than the miles per hour that we are used to. The first website we're going to be looking at is the windy.com, and the second one is fishweather.com, and the third one is magicseaweed.com. Okay, we're gonna go to windy.com. Once you go, you will see the map like this. Basically, you zoom in to the place you want to look at. In this case, I'm gonna go to Half Moon Bay and click on the area you're gonna be fishing, and it will show you northwest wind going 9 knots. And over here in the menu bar, you can also click on the wind gust. Look at what the wind gust is, which is 16 knots. And waves, under the waves you got swell. You're looking at 3-foot swell from the west. Period is 7 seconds. And you have a secondary swell over here, which is 2 feet. Period is 9 seconds. So this is a current time, which is Monday around noon. If you want to look at the weekend, let's take a look at Saturday, 6 a.m. So you got 2 feet of swell,
11 seconds apart. That was the secondary swell. Now the main primary swell is going to be 5 feet at 9 seconds apart. The wind is going to be 14 knots, so it's going to be pretty breezy, and the wind gust is going to be 23 knots. This does not always work, but if you click on this right here, oh, it's not working. Sometimes it gives you a little bigger circle and gives you 3 different things: the wind speed, primary swell, and secondary swell, but this does not always work. So we're gonna go to fishweather.com, and the easiest to find the place is you go to map, and then you have this map over here, and you once again zoom in to the area you're going to be fishing, and you're going to have these points right there. Here, when you zoom out here, so Half Moon Bay, click on that and you go to forecast. It's going to give you the wind speed, the gust, and the swell, and the period. So let's look at Sunday. So wind is pretty down on Sunday. The swell is anywhere between 6.7 to 5.6 during the day at 9 seconds. But fish weather does not give you the secondary swell though. Okay, let's go to magicseaweed.com. Okay, Magic Seaweed does not have map like the other sites, but simply you go to forecast. For some reason, it's always default to the California South, so I just back out to North America up here, and once you do that, you have different areas. So California North, and there's a few spots that you can check. This is mainly a surf forecast, so it doesn't have a lot of different spots. So one that is closest to the Half Moon Bay is going to be San Francisco County, and it's going to be Linda Mar, which is Pacifica. And once you go there, you have the weekly outline here, but if you scroll down, Monday, that's today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So let's look at Sunday. So on the far left, this is the surf height, 4 to 6 feet, which is really high for kayakers. Here's the primary swell. It's looking at 6.5 to 5 feet every 9 to 10 seconds. And there's a secondary swell, 2 feet at 15 seconds. There's your wind speed. So I like the feature of the surf forecast on Magic Seaweed. So when I'm surf launching in different places, I check the surf on this site and also get all the information with the wind and the swell.
There are tons of apps and websites out there that gives you a swell and the wind prediction. Like I just said, it's a prediction. It's just a forecast. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. So the condition might be totally different. So one thing I do recommend is, especially if you are out in the ocean, before launching, take a look at the condition for 5-10 minutes. Observe the condition. Observe the period between the swells. Observe the height of the swell. Observe the wind before you even setting up your kayak. Few times that I've gone out to go fishing, and when I observed the condition, it was too windy, the swell was too high, or the period was too short. So I did not even unload my kayak. At that point, if you are out there with your buddy, go have a breakfast, have a good conversation, and go home early to your family. So what is a safe condition for a kayakers to be out in the ocean? This actually depends on your skill level and your comfort level. I know many guys who will be out there at 10 plus swell. I know many guys who will be out there with 25 miles per hour. I've been out there in those conditions too, when conditions got worse. But I never go out there when it's already blowing 25 and when the swell is already 10 foot high. And there are people out there who still goes out in those conditions. For me personally, no. So it really matters on your comfort level and your skill level. So swell size is pretty self-explanatory, right? So if there is a 4 foot swell, you're going up 4 feet and you're coming down 4 feet. And if there's a 6 foot swell, you're going up 6 feet and you're coming back down 6 feet. So, in generally speaking, 6 or below is a pretty good condition to be out. But like I said before, the period is just as important, if not more important. The swell is more gradual, up and down, that happens very slowly, right? Let's say if it's a 4 foot swell every 20 seconds, that means it will take 12 seconds for you to go up 4 feet and come back down. Okay? The full cycle of the swell takes 12 seconds. So when you're at the lowest, you go up nice and slow to 4 feet and you come back down 4 feet. At 4 feet at 12 seconds, you are most likely not going to feel the swell at all because it moves, you're going up so slow and you're coming down so slow. Let's say if it's a 6 foot swell that is 20 seconds apart. Same thing, even though you are going up 6 feet, it's happening so slow, you are not gonna feel that change in elevation. So what if it's a 4 foot swell with every 4 seconds? That means you are going up 4 feet and you're coming down 4 feet in 4 seconds. You are definitely gonna feel the elevation change. That's gonna happen real quick. 4 feet up, 4 feet up, 4 feet down. So the longer the period is, you're gonna feel it less. The shorter the period is, you are really gonna feel the swell. So in general, 6 foot swell and under. And as far as the period goes, if the period is less than double the size of the swell, so if you've got 4 feet times 2, that's 8 seconds. If the period is 8 seconds or more, it's pretty nice out. So if it's a 6 foot swell, 6 times 2, that's 12. If the period is 12 seconds or more, yes, it's going to be pretty nice out there. Even if it's 8 foot swell, if the period is 8 times 2 is 16 seconds or more, it's actually pretty nice out there. But here's the catch though. You also have to look out for the secondary swell and sometimes tertiary swell as well. So you have to put that in the equation as well. So let's say your primary swell is 4 foot high and that's going to be every 12 seconds. Just that alone, it's going to be pretty much flat, glassy. You're not going to feel the swell. It's going to be flat like a lake. But if you mix in a 3 foot secondary swell in between, which is about 8 seconds, now you're going to feel a little bit of elevation change because it's not happening every 12 seconds. It's going to be another swell in between those 4 foot swell. So now you're going to feel a little bit. 8 foot swell with 60 seconds, even though it's going to be pretty nice, you have to factor in the secondary swell. If the secondary swell is like a nice and really small, 2 feet high, very far apart, you're barely gonna notice it. But if your secondary swell is like 6 feet every 10 seconds, yeah, it's gonna be bumpy and it's gonna be rough out there. So another factor you have to account for is the direction of the swell. So if the primary and the secondary swell is pretty much moving the same direction or coming from the same direction, it's going to be more calm. If the primary and secondary swell is coming from different direction, when they collide, it's going to create another ripple effect. So it's going to get more bumpy. So in general, if the primary and the secondary swell is 90 degrees or less, it's not going to cause too much additional ripple. But if the primary and the secondary swell is either 90 degrees or bigger, it's going to cause more ripple effect. So you have to account for that as well. And same thing with the wind direction. If the swell is going this way and wind is coming from the different way, that's when they collide, it's going to cause ripple effect. The bigger the angle, the more ripple effect it's going to create, and it's going to get really bumpy. Sometimes your kayak will do this when you are trying to go in straight line, or when you are just sitting there jigging for rockfish, and you'll see your kayak doing this when there's two different swells in different direction, or a swell and the wind in different directions. So keep that in mind as well. So like I said before, it's all depends on the person, your comfort level, your skill level. But in general, if the swell is 6 feet or less and the period is more than 2 times the swell height, it's pretty good outside. And when it comes to wind, I will stay under 15 miles per hour. At 15 miles per hour, you're gonna see some white caps. It's gonna get a little bumpy out there. The higher the wind, it's gonna get more bumpy. Higher wind waves, more white caps. So I've been out there in the ocean, maybe up to 30 miles per hour, and it was crazy. Especially that 30 miles per hour wind was coming from totally opposite of the swell direction. So when it collided, oh man, it was really rough out there. And as soon as that happened, everybody was in a hurry to get off the water. Like I said before, I am no expert at this. Everybody's comfort level, everybody's skill level is different. So just use it as a guideline and figure out what condition works for you and what does not. So if you have any questions, please comment down below. And thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more and go outside and enjoy the outdoors.